Hey guys, it's time for the weekend Q&A. I have quite a few questions this week, but you know what? I'm not going to answer all of them. I'll try to save some for next week. And I don't know why I had so many this week. It's really weird. Maybe people have more time to get on YouTube and stuff because they're not outside growing, I guess, or something. But anyways, I'm just going to jump right into them. Let's see. This is from the video installing a drip irrigation in my raised beds. Great video, thanks. I'd like to install drip on my raised beds, but we usually rotate our plants from season to season. If you are putting an emitter at each plant, how do you compensate for future plantings where the location of the plant will be different? And you know, that's a good question. There's a couple things that's going on. For one, I try to grow the same things in the bed, but even if I'm not growing the same things and I rotate, I still, the one bed, the biggest bed that I have, is for like kale and broccoli and lettuce and whatnot. I always grow those the same distance apart, so it doesn't matter what I'm putting in that area, because I mean I'm picking up the tubing and I'm laying more compost down. Excuse me, probably a bug. But the plants are still going in the same general area, so I don't change the location of the emitters. But if you want to, you can install those plugs, and they're just the little black insert plastic that you pop into the hole, and you can change the location. And then if you want to, you can pop the plugs out and reuse those holes. But I don't worry about it. I plant the same things. But you're right. If you're going to change it a lot, you're going to end up with a lot of holes and a lot of plugs, and you're just going to have to deal with that. But I don't, because even if I plant different things, I always space them the same distance apart. So you can probably think about that when you're doing it. On the video growing garlic, why don't you add bone meal when planting garlic? Okay, you know, I used to add, this was years ago, I added bone meal one year and I added blood meal another year, and then I decided to not do that and just plant directly in the compost. You know what, by adding the bone meal and blood meal, I never saw a difference. Now, a lot of people say, you know, you get those bigger bulbs because you're not, you know, if you're adding regular fertilizer, nitrogen and stuff, you're going to get a lot of top growth. I don't add anything to it, and I've had great luck. I've had some really good sized bulbs just from planting it the way I do. And it's the same thing where I go back to telling people, look, I'm all about independence. If I'm having to buy bone meal or blood meal or anything, I'm not independent. I like to be self-sufficient on my property. So I don't want to have to keep going to the grocery store and buying all this, not grocery store, the nursery, and buying all this crap all the time just to be able to grow food. I think we're beyond that. I like to go back to the old methods 100, 150 years ago, you know. I don't need bone meal and blood meal, but if people have had good luck with it, I know a lot of people have, and if you want to, then go ahead and do it, but I just haven't seen a benefit from it. And if there is a benefit, it is so small that to me it's insignificant. Let's see, how are the goji berries doing? Okay, about a month ago, I think it was, that I planted these gojis, and they came up. It took a couple weeks for them to come up, but they seem to be doing okay. Let me kind of tilt this so you can see it. Hopefully you can see. They're not very tall. They're about an inch tall, and I've got a billion of them here. I pulled a few of them out, believe it or not, while I clipped them off with scissors. And I've got like 6 of these little grow pots, and there's like 6 goji berries trees and bushes in each one of these. So they're doing fairly good. I'll keep you updated if there's any significant changes, but I don't think there will be. I think they're just going to keep growing. They're going to grow slowly. That's a whole month, and you know, they're doing okay. They're doing all right. So yeah. In your newest garlic planting video, you said to leave the paper skin on. Your previous video, you took it off. What gives? Yeah, I know, you caught that, didn't you? And you know what? The reason is because I used to pull them off, and then I started a couple other beds where I was just throwing them in and not worrying about it, and they came up just fine, and they came up just as fast as when I took the paper skin off. So for years, I took the paper skin off, and they did great, and I thought, wow, that's the way to do it. But then I got lazy and just said, screw it, I'm not going to do it. And I mean, they came up just as fast, they're just as healthy, and to me, if I don't get to doing them right away, they don't age or deteriorate as quickly. So I'm not going to touch them anymore. I'm just leaving the paper skin on, and I know people are probably going to say that I'm wrong, but you know what? They're doing just as well. They've done just as well in the past, and so I just don't do it anymore. You know, gardening is a learning process, right? Okay, this is from Making Your Own Soilless Seed Starting Mix. This might be a little complicated, but let's see. Hi there. First, I'd like to say I really enjoy watching your videos, informative and entertainment. I was wondering how you feed your seedlings when growing this in this type of mix. Okay, or do you mostly start your seeds in compost? Okay, I'll just hold up there because there's more to the question. How do I feed my seedlings when growing in this type of mix? I don't, because this type of soilless mix is only for seeds that take a long time to germinate. And then what happens is when they start to get bigger and they get their second or first set of true leaves, then they're pulled out of there and they're transplanted into other medium or bigger pots with actual compost. So I don't feed them in that mix. And I think that answers the second part of that. Do you mostly start your seeds in compost? If they're just regular things like tomatoes and peppers and stuff, yeah, I just start them in compost. And I've had great luck doing that. So do you grow them indoors in the compost, and does that cause any insect issues? Okay, I have before, but mostly no, I do not. Indoors, if I was to take my compost from here indoors, I'm just inviting trouble. And I have done it in the past, and I know there's probably people that have seen me do it, but I don't do that anymore. What you do if you're going to grow indoors is just go down and buy a big, huge bag of organic potting mix that you can use indoors, and it's usually sterile, and you don't have to worry about inviting any bugs or problems like that. They usually sterilize it, and doing it that way, I've never had any problems. So that's what I do indoors. And then the last part of this question, how do I, if I don't, then, well, if I do, it's supposed to be, I think if I do, then how do I feed or fertilize indoors? Okay, I usually do not buy fertilizer, but if you're growing indoors and you don't have the benefit of taking compost indoors to feed your plants, then most people are going to have to fertilize if they do a lot of indoor growing. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You can buy some organic fertilizer and fertilize your plants indoors. Go for it. It's probably the best, the easiest thing to do. Now, how do I do it? Usually I buy a bag of organic compost, and I know that it's usually sterile. And so it's got lots of organic material in it, and it's got a lot of nutrients and whatnot. So I usually use that, and I sprinkle that around my plants indoors, and that does not invite any bug problems. Usually doesn't, but even still then, it can. So if you want my opinion on how the best way to do it is to buy organic potting mix for indoor growing, and then buy fertilizer, some organic fertilizer to fertilize your plants indoors. That's the best way to cut down on insect problems. Let's see, this is from Growing. I wanted to throw this one in here. It's not really a question, but I wanted to throw this out here because a lot of people had commented on it. And they sent me a couple private messages and kind of got into a big discussion about what was going on with it. But this is from Growing Apple Trees from Seed. One guy says, I totally disagree. I grow apple trees from seeds and have great success with them. Now, when it says I totally disagree, I don't know what he meant by that. I totally disagree. The purpose of that video was, I was saying that you don't grow apple trees from seed and produce good tasting apples from it. You just, I mean, it's a long shot. It's a 1 in, I don't know, 10,000 that if you plant apple seeds from an apple that you eat and you put it in the ground. So I think what he's saying, now I went out to this guy's page, and what he's done is he's got all these apple trees that are growing, these little dinky apple trees that he's growing from seed. And he says, I totally disagree. I grow apple trees from seed and have great success. Okay, I don't know how he's gauging success, because he's got all these trees, he's going, yeah, I'm going to be selling these trees. Okay, if he's selling those trees from those seeds, from the seeds that he planted, he's going to have a lot of angry customers, because almost all, I can pretty much guarantee they're going to be like crap apples. They're going to be junk. And I've gotten a lot of heat from this. A lot of people have told me, though, that's not true. You go, what about Johnny Appleseed? Okay, Johnny Appleseed, if you really research him, most of the apple trees that he grew were called spitters. In other words, that's what you did when you tasted his apples. Because what happens is when you plant one seed, you know, you're going to get, it's like a 1 in 10,000 chance that you're going to get a really good tasting apple. And all the varieties of apples that we have come from all that trial and error. So, you know, I know I get a lot of heat for that, but it's just absolute honest truth. If you ask professional apple growers, they will agree. And so with this guy, I have great success with them. What success? I mean, he's got these little dinky trees that he's growing, and I said right in the video that, yeah, you can grow apple trees from seed. So if that's what he means by success, okay, that's success, but you're not going to get edible apples. I'm sorry, you're just... I can't say you're not going to, but the chances are... And you also don't even know what size they're going to be. You don't know, you know. So anyways, let's see, next one. Do you have any animals? I'm not talking about farm animals. Okay, we have 2 small dogs. My wife has one and my daughter has one. But I'm reluctant to call them dogs. You know, my wife has a little Bichon, and my daughter has this little Maltipoo. It's a mix, Maltese and Poodle, and it was a rescue dog. It was living on the streets, and she found it on a website, a rescue website, and she had this little dog shipped up from Southern California, and they'd taken it off the streets, and she paid to have it shipped up in the whole 9 yards. And they're both beautiful little dogs. They're great little dogs, but to call them dogs, they're just... I mean, you know, to me a dog is like something, you know, you know what I'm saying? They play fetch, and they play fetch, but they're not frisbee catchers. You know what I'm saying? With dogs, you think they're like protecting, and they go out. You can go out traipsing through the woods with them. These don't even like to get their feet wet. So I mean, yeah, they're just. I love them to death, but they're all right. Oh, this one. Sometimes that's not a question, but sometimes you talk way too fast. You know, I don't think I talk too fast. A lot of people like to have their questions answered, and so I just try to answer the questions. And a lot of people have said that my videos are too long, and so what I've tried to do is I've tried to cut them down. And so now I've tried to cut them down, so I have to talk a little bit faster to cut them down. And so you either have really long videos of me just monologuing, or you have long. I don't know. So I don't think I talk too fast. How big is your property? 10 acres. Okay, then I'll just do this very last one. I never had a greenhouse, but it sure would be nice. It kind of looks like your greenhouse walls are a little cloudy. Do you ever wash the walls or rinse them? Okay, I'll answer that first part. No, I don't wash them and rinse them. I probably should. I ain't got time. Do you ever wash and rinse them? If no, should you? Yeah, you probably should. I don't know how they would get dirty, though. I think the cloudiness, there's no dirt on them unless I had like a big mud storm. That all of a sudden, you know, that the wind was flinging mud or something. I don't know. Maybe the dirt, I don't know, gets thrown around. They do kind of get some kind of like mold or moss, I think, growing inside the double walls. But I suppose a hoop house with plastic sheets could just wait until the plastic needed to be changed. Yeah, you could do that. A lot of people do that. It just deteriorates after a few years. But anyways, my panels do get cloudy. And in fact, the UV breaks them down. I put this greenhouse up in, I believe, 2006, and I've already had to replace 6 panels, and so I like this greenhouse. It's been good for short term, but I am going to tear it down, and I'm going to build a glass greenhouse. Now, a lot of people have said, why glass, man? Glass is dumb, you know. And you know what? Everybody loves plastic, poly panels, and the double wall poly panels, and they think that this is the way to go, and it's lighter and it's easier to work with. You know what? I hate these plastic panels. Now I don't have any trees really close to the greenhouse. The closest ones are over there. They're about 80 or 70 or 80 feet away, and I have not had any branches getting flung, so I'm not worried about glass getting broke. I understand that, but to me, there's 2 reasons why I'm going to build a glass one. Number 1, the glass will last forever, unless it gets broke. And number 2, the glass, it's cheaper, believe it or not. Glass panels are cheaper than these poly double wall panels. And there is a third one. I like the looks of plastic. Glass. I think glass is classy. Now, there's a lot of places where this stuff here has broken down after this 9 years. And there's some spots that are so brittle that I could actually, if I hit it hard enough, I could stick my finger right through it. The UV just breaks these things down. And a fourth one, on the box that you get all these panels in, it says contains chemicals that are known to cause cancer. I know water causes cancer nowadays, right? But there's something about plastic. I'm just moving away from plastic. I'm really getting a disdain and a hatred for plastic, and I'm moving away from it. I just don't like it. So. Yeah, these Harbor Freight greenhouses are okay. I've got the 10 by 12. It's okay for a quick greenhouse. It was like, I paid, I think, like $600 for it. But I think for $600, I could, I don't know. I don't know how much glass greenhouse, but a glass greenhouse is just going to be more beneficial for me. It's going to be more cost effective, and I just like the looks of it. So, yeah, within the next, I'm hoping next summer to start on the new, this is going to come down and the new glass greenhouse is going to go up. So be watching for that. I'm going to be building it. So anyways, I hope that answers all the questions. I still have a few more, but I think I'll fit those in next weekend. So anyways, there's the Q&A for this weekend, and I appreciate everybody watching. And I didn't get a lot of mean comments that was kind of refreshing. So anyways, so keep watching, and I have another video coming up in a couple days. I'll be planting some fall onions, so be watching for that. Alright, so thanks a lot for watching, guys, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the end of the video, and we'll catch y'all later.